Let's go into the Q&A. I'm just going to go through the list, and I will just address them to the various panelists as we go. There's a number of comments in here just saying thank you and good afternoon. I will skip those, but much appreciated. This one is for Elias. What is the split of type of vessels arriving in your ports, and what is your container volume? And this is a question by Javier Molina. Elias, you're on mute, so if you could unmute yourself.
Unmute.
Oh, now you're on mute again. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Well, the Namibian Port or the Namibian Port Authority managing the two ports, they are all multi-purpose terminal. A bulk of our activities, especially in Walvis Bay, in terms of vessel visits, is dominated by fishing vessels. I'll say that 40% of vessel traffic that we handle is containerized vessels, of which 50% is fishing vessels, and the balance is multi-purpose vessels. In terms of the number of containers that we handle, the highest that we have handled before the inauguration of the new container terminal is around 380,000 TEU. Now, the new facility is designed to handle 750,000 TEU. So for us, really, it's early days to tell, but we are aiming, obviously, on a low base, arriving probably at 200,000 TEU for the start.
Okay. Thank you. There's another question for you, Elias, and that is, what is the volume of chemicals flowing into the region? Do you have that data at hand? Or?
I don't have the data at hand, but I am able to provide the details or the specifics through an email to the person.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well, you will be able to pick this question up in the Q&A part, or maybe Rosita can link you to.
I've been actually responding
the answer. Yeah.
To some of the Q&A.
Yeah. So then a question for Transnet, for Komotso. I think this is a brilliant question, and I'm sure you've had it many times before. But until you probably do it, you will keep on getting this question. So, do you have any will or demand, as the question of Jean de la Perrière says here, to privatize some ports or terminals in your great country?
Simple answer, Roy. Thank you very much, John, for that question. Is yes. But let me explain how we intend to do it. You know, currently we have terminals, especially container terminals, that serve specific markets, and they dominate the area of the business that they operate in. So I can understand John's question, because currently Transnet operates that almost as a monopoly. What we've been very wary of is substituting a public monopoly or a government state monopoly like Transnet with a private one. We've been very aware of that. But if you look at our development in terms of growth, we haven't expanded our port capacity in the last 10 years, and we've been suffering since. We have a perennial waiting vessels outside at anchorage, waiting for a service. In fact, Elias there is really much benefiting from our inefficiency as well, that is able to pick up some of the luggage that bypasses some of our ports and goes to Namibia and has to be sent back somehow to our port system. So the idea, is a matter of urgency. I mean, there are two issues. First of all, the Port Authority will be corporatized out of Transnet this year in 4 months' time, in September. That is the plan. And next is we intend to invite participants on 2 locations we've identified in the Port of Durban for additional container facility. And by law, that will have to be provided by the private sector. So, it's a short answer, yes, but it's a long way of explaining how we're going to get into private sector participation. We have a similar arrangements that we're going to do, although very small, in the ports of Richards Bay and the Port of Cape Town to a small degree, yes, absolutely. But in terms of privatizing the existing one, it's a possibility, not a full privatization, but getting a strategic partner in those terminals.
Okay.
Thank you. Right?
Thank you. There's another question for you, Komatso, around the role and the importance of Bera as a competitor on the East Coast.
Thank you, Roy. No, we don't look at it that way as a competitor. In fact, we are investors. We are co-investors in that facility ourselves. There's a big.
Do you see? Is there any is there overlap in operations with your own, or do you really see it as 100% complementary?
It's 100% complementary. Then the market that Bara is identifying is far out of our reach in terms of connectivity. Yes. So, but it's a similar pattern in South Africa, Roy, that the ports are really specific to particular region. There's almost a point to point. Not very much networking. As you know, we don't have that much of short sea shipping either. So the ports are dedicated to other specific area, region, or industry. So absolutely no overlap. So we don't take them as a competitor at all. In fact, we'd like to have more happening.
Nice. Okay. I'm just going through the questions top down. So that means that we will also get the questions a little bit in the order of the presentation. So Komatso, I have another one for you. It says, the Komatso South Africa allows the mining sector to operate at 50% capacity because of the COVID-19 crisis. What is the impact of the current situation in the mining sector on the port operations? And this is a question by Michiel Fleischauer.
Okay. Thank you, Miro. Yeah, the interesting phenomenon has happened now. When we mention 50%, it pertains to personnel. It's really around protecting our people so that we can achieve some level of social distancing. But what we've experienced is that with 15%, even within the port, there's a very uptick in efficiency. So that 50% of people in the port are actually been able to do between 60 and 75% of what would be a normal output with a full complement of people. So, that's been the experience. But from Monday or from Friday last week, we've been allowed to ramp up in terms of industry and certain mining operations. So the mining operations have been affected, but we've been able at least to deal with between, I would say, 70 to 100% of their requirements.
Okay, thank you. Then a question for Henri from Javier Molina. What is the volume capacity of Port Réunion and the split of the load?
Okay, The volume capacity, it depends of many aspects. It depends on the dwell time, the square area of the yards. It depends on the key crane. Roughly, we believe it's between the 350 and the 450. It depends, in fact, on the dwell time mainly. Because during the COVID, you experienced some additional storage that was triggered by non-essential cargo and some transshipment who stayed for a long time. So it's difficult there's no real gauge to assess that. But roughly regarding European standard, I would say yes, a bit more than 400,000 TEUs. And the split we achieved last year a bit less 380 TEUs, including 110,000 TEUs in transshipment, and the general traffic of Port Union average 5.9 million tons, spreading 1 million in the dry bulk, 1 million in the liquid bulk, and the remaining regarding container.
Okay, thank you. There's I guess Javier Cazin's supplier. He wants to know from you, Henri, if the pandemic will speed up the automation of operations.
It won't. If there's different, the pandemic will speed up digitalization, I guess, because it's a need. It's a need for all our port to go further into digitalization through our port community system. And we guess there's a real challenge for that, for all of us. But, the automation is one of the forthcoming event after the entire digitalization. Is a part of digitalization, but it does not gather all the concept of digitalization. But we are not at the time digitalized port today.
Okay, understood. Thank you. And there's a general question: how the terminal operating system is being leveraged, basically, to operate in the current situation. I guess maybe Elias, maybe I can give this one to you, given that your volumes have significantly go up as a result of this. So how are you basically handling the additional transshipment with your terminal operating system as such? Do you need to accelerate? Or is the system already set up for this? So what's your view on it?
Thank you very much for the question. The terminal operating system that we use is Navis. And when we went live with the new terminal, it was already set up. So it actually helped us a lot in terms of speedily and efficiently handling the influx of transshipment volumes that came through. Without Neves, I think we were really going to face serious challenges at the quayside, and also contributing to the delays in terms of the turnaround time of container vessels. I think it's a tool that really added much value.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Thank you. Then there's a question from Steve Cameron. I think Elias, you already answered this one: the benefits of leveraging digital technology and communication, offsite working, and how adopt this in daily reality. And he also has a question. And I know Steve's, is very passionate about this, and I would like to, if he's still online, thank him for his continued support for seafarers. He also would like to know on how we can introduce procedures to allow the invisible glue in the supply chain, so the seafarers currently stuck on the ships, to be able to join their vessels or leave their vessels. So perhaps, Komoto, I can ask you to answer these two questions. So first on digital technology. and the second one on the seafarers, what we can do as a community to help these well, these heroes really in the maritime sector.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. Yeah, my greetings to Steve as well. He's an old comrade and friend.
Everybody knows
thank you,
Steve.
Yes. But digitalization for us, as I indicated in the presentation, is one of those must. It's something that needs to happen and will happen. And as Transnet, we've done a great deal in terms of leveraging on these new technologies. We also, on our terminals, are also on Nevis. We're experimenting with digitalization with private terminals, and ourselves, especially during this time, for safety reasons, for gate in, gate out. We're piloting a few local inbuilt systems. We of drones, both underwater and on the air, for both monitoring and assisting systems in terms of operating our ports and doing inspections underwater. So, and communications is paramount, because we want to be able to network between the port, the depots, and up to the customer level in terms of synchronizing movement, especially where we have challenges on storage and access to the port. We moved quite a while ago in terms of online paperless booking, that we don't have that much on walk-ins into our port authority. Most of the transactions and engagements with our customers are done online. So we're moving towards there. Where we need to think, and the pandemic is creating those opportunities for us, is on the area of automation that you've just intimated too. We are a country of great challenges, especially with unemployment. So we've always leaned towards labor-intensive operations to run our ports. But the current challenges has created a bit of an opportunity for us to start looking again into how much and what is the balance we need to do to be able to both keep our people safe and employed, but also leverage on the technology to improve our efficiency. So automation is one of those things that are back now on our table that we need to engage and draw on. My suspicion is our next move in terms of procurement of equipment will be based on automated equipment.
Maybe a brief comment on the seafarers,
or the seafarers,
yeah.
On the port side, we've moved quite a great deal in terms of assisting and what's the word? Being able to make it easy for changes and crew changes and assisting seafarers on health where they need to. The challenge we have now is because the airlines are grounded, we are unable to move. It's that leg of the movement that's giving us a bit of a challenge. But within the port, I think we've opened up, and there is no issue really around being able to assist seafarers from that point of view. Yeah.
If I can add something regarding seafarers and crew change, France and Real Island has implemented a dedicated protocol to allow seafarers to get outside through our ports. France, Reunion Island is well linked to Europe and Paris mainly, so it's a solution which is interesting for Europeans living people, not for people living in Asia, I guess. But it is on track, and I guess it will be the next step for every port. But we need to cope with this new pandemic. You know, the Twin Tower has collapsed, and the security has become something which was prevent. Now, this pandemic will trigger on new safe and health general guidance that will be our business as usual task, I guess.
Okay. Elias, maybe something from your end as well on this? You can comment on it. You're still on mute. There we go.
Yeah, from the Namibian side, really, we had several engagement with vessel owners, shipping lines, to see how best we can accommodate seafarers, especially during this time of the pandemic. But the challenge that we face is that due to the disruption and the limited health facility that we have, especially the port city of Walvis Bay and Lutretz, government was a bit reserved in terms of providing a interim solution as to how to accommodate seafarer. So we actually were directed to prohibit handling passenger vessels and so on. But I think going forward, it should be taken up with the IMO to see how best the lives of the seafarer can be made easier, especially during situations of this magnitude. Yeah, I think that's all I can comment on.
Okay, thank you, Elias. That's very useful. In the interest of time, and also I think we're slowly reaching the end of this online conference slash webinar. I wanted to do one last round of questions where I'm going to summarize actually a few questions that are being raised. The first one actually that raised this question is Koen Hutsenbout from Jan de Nul, who says it's specifically pointed to Komatsu, but I'd like to extend that to the other two port representatives as well. Is COVID-19 affecting the plans for investments in ports? Will this remain slow in some of the areas, or do we expect? And I know this is not this is not a fact. I'm looking for an opinion. Or will there be like an increase and enhancement in port investments as a consequence of the situation we find ourselves in? So let me start with Henri, and then I'll just go and pass Komatsu and Elias as well. Eric, if you have any ideas around this, happy to hear from your end as well, whether we get, for example, more requests for financing or not. So Henri?
Okay, thank you. Of course not. The COVID-19 won't slow the pace of investment. I guess for all the public body, it's a necessity to boost the investment and to restart the business for the country. So we are about to purchase key cranes in our port, 2 big ship-to-shore cranes. Also, we are about to purchase a mobile crane, which is on track also. And we are thinking of some infrastructures investment and we will streamline all the entrance of the container yard, and all the state assessment tools in the port will be streamlined and refurbished. No, we won't slow the pace of investment, and I guess it's an opportunity to rethink things, and we also have even something we are investing in studies through the Port Association of Indian Ocean Island, whose I'm a deputy secretary, and we continue to go further in this study to rethink what would be the new era of cruise terminals, and even through these new constraints. But we need to keep the pace of investment going.
Thank you. Komatsu?
My pleasure.
Thank you, Roy. Another of what I call must do as well. I think the pace of investment for us will be relentless. We had started long before COVID in terms of equipment. We just put an order of 100 odd, straddle carriers to assist the Port of Durban, which is where we were battling with servicing our customers. But what COVID-19 has expanded in terms of the problem is what we've been experiencing through weather. We've had weather phenomena start to affect what has been quite calm ports, such as the Port of Durban, where we've lost a lot of capacity through wind, where we are unable to operate. And from that, it poses two issues. First, we're not able to deal with our customers, and next, we are not able to deal with the backlog that arises from those stoppages. That's why I indicated to you earlier on is that within this year, the intention is to see how we can open up and bring in people to come and assist in terms of those dealing with operations within the port. COVID has also created the problem of backlog within the port and within the depots. So unless we do something to expand that capacity as well, we'll be forever, chasing our tail, so to speak. So my view is you will probably see an acceleration in investment that you'll see, and expand more on the expansion rather than trying to fix and maintain, what is broken. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. Elias? Don't forget the mute button.
Yeah, we are also on the same trajectory with Transnet. What we see is that pre-COVID, we were hesitant in investing in some of the infrastructure, but through this short period where our capabilities were tested, I foresee that we are going to fast-track investment. And with the support also of our government, we are also going to fast-track the issue of private participation in port infrastructure investment. So I think COVID just shook us a bit to look at port investment from a different perspective.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elias. Eric, a quick one.
Yes. Well, we see actually an uplift in potential requests for projects where the customers ask us to look into PQs, and also from the financing side, we see that more and more employers, most likely public employers who normally fund their projects by themselves, now request for external funding from our side. So we see actually an increase. So we're also extending our resources internally to meet these requirements.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Well, with that, we slowly come to the end of today's webinar. I would really like to, before I hand over to Rosita, I would like to thank speakers Henri, also Elias and Eric for participating today. It's been an absolute delight, I must say, to speak to you, even more than I thought in advance. I wish we could do this every Friday so that we keep the sense of community going. But yeah, I'm not sure if we can get Rory to host us every Friday on the Friday afternoon drinks. But it's been an absolute delight and real great to join this. As I've said on other conferences in Africa, this continent has the future in its hands, and you know, and we're ready to support where we can to make it happen. It gives me always such a pleasure to be there. I used to live there for a little while, and it's my dream to move back one day. It's the continent of my heart, and I hope we can build a bright future, or even brighter future, together there. Despite COVID, I think we've had a lot of opportunities today for growth, for new investments coming, for new ideas, for new ways of collaboration, and for even more passion behind all these developments. So thank you very much, and over to you, Rosita. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy.
Thank you.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank Balas Nida for sponsoring, Roy again for moderating the whole webinar session, and distinguished panelists, Mr. Komotso, Elias, Mr. Emery, and also Eric at very last minute. Thank you so much for your support and for joining us today. We will post all the presentation next week on Tuesday. Monday is a holiday in Malaysia, so we will send all the presentation to registered webinars, registered attendees next Tuesday. Thank you to all our viewers for your attendance. I hope that this is helpful and insightful. And to answer your question, Roy, yes, we do have another webinar next week on Friday, on the 15th May at 5 p.m. Hong Kong time, same time. But the topic will be current challenges and future opportunities for ports and terminals in Europe. Right? Must attend webinar for anyone that is involved in European ports and shipping industry. Right? Please may I ask everyone to follow Transport Event LinkedIn account, and please visit our website transportevents.com. And if you have any questions, please email me at rosita@transportevents.com. That's ROSITA@transportevents.com. Right? Thank you everyone for your support, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye. Have a good weekend. Thanks.
Thank you for your organization. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It was a real pleasure. I share this pleasure with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, all of you.
Bye.
Hope to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rosita. Thank you, Alex.
See
Thank
you,
you, Roy. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Rosita. Bye.
All right, bye.